The Candle Roads of Kodiak. In coastal Alaska, there are roads that do not appear on any map. The locals call them candle roads. They glow faintly at night, as if lit by buried flames beneath the snow. They wind through forests where the trees grow too close, too still, too aware. They lead to places that shouldn't exist, clearings that steam in the frozen air, circles of melted earth where bones are stitched together with twine and symbols, burn themselves into antlers. The elders know what made these roads. They know what walks them. Alaska's witches do not curse out of malice. They trade. And the fair folk, the things that flicker between the trees, the creatures with faces too beautiful and wrong, the small shapes that laugh in the dark, they collect, they take warmth, they take names. They take the pieces of you that wander too close to the old roads. 3 people learned this the hard way. This is what happens when the forest remembers your name. Before we begin, I want to thank every soul that keeps returning to listen. You've turned whispers into echoes. If you haven't already, subscribe and stay close, because what you're about to hear is one story you won't forget. Act 1. The woman who heard bells in the trees. Lena Markov has been deaf since birth. She's 34 years old, a wildlife surveyor who spent the last decade tracking caribou migrations, wolf pack territories, and the slow creep of permafrost melt across the Alaskan interior. She reads the world differently than most people, through vibration, through stillness, through the way her Malamute Ash holds his body when something's wrong. Ash is never wrong. February 2021. Lena has rented a cabin outside Kodiak for a 3-month survey contract. The property backs up to the tree line, dense spruce and hemlock that swallow the winter light by 3 p.m. She's used to isolation. She prefers it. But something about this forest feels different. The trees stand too still, too orderly, like soldiers waiting for a command. And the silence, Lena knows silence. She lives in it. But this silence has weight, pressure. The forest isn't quiet. It's holding its breath. The walk, February 17th, late afternoon. The light is already failing, the sky bruising purple at the edges. Lena takes Ash on their usual route, a half-mile loop through the trees behind the cabin, following deer trails and frozen creeks. Ash leads the way, his gray-white coat disappearing against the snow. He's always eager, always pulling at the lead, until he stops, dead still, ears pinned back, hackles raised. His body vibrates with a growl Lena can feel through her boots, through the frozen ground, through the stillness of the air. She follows his gaze. The circle. 50 feet off the trail, half buried in the snow, the earth is melted. Not melting, melted. A perfect ring, maybe 10 feet across, where the snow has pulled back to reveal dark soil. Steam rises from the ground, curling into the cold air like breath. The smell hits Lena as she approaches. Pine resin, wood smoke, and something else. Something sweet and rotten underneath, like flowers left to decay in standing water. Ash won't move, won't follow. He plants his paws and whines, a high keening sound she feels more than hears. Lena steps into the circle alone. The warmth is immediate. The air inside the ring is 10, maybe 15 degrees warmer than the forest around it. The soil is soft, almost damp. And in the center, bones. The altar, they're arranged with intention. Bird skulls, dozens of them, stitched together with black twine, forming a shape that might be a crown or a cage. Small antlers, no larger than her hand, carved with symbols that have been burned into the bone. The marks still smolder faintly, smoke rising from the grooves. Feathers are scattered around the arrangement, black and white, woven with strands of something that looks like human hair. Lena's hands shake as she backs away. This isn't natural. This isn't an animal's work. Someone, something, built this. The footprints. She finds them on the walk home. Beside her own boot prints, pressed into the snow with impossible clarity, are footprints she didn't make. Bare feet, long-toed. The impressions appear and disappear in irregular intervals, as if whatever made them was stepping in and out of the snow itself, walking through some layer of reality Lena can't see. The prints lead toward her cabin, then stop. Lena runs the rest of the way. That night, Ash won't settle. He paces the cabin, pressing his nose to the windows, growling at corners where nothing stands. The fur along his spine won't lie flat. Lena tries to read, tries to sleep, tries to convince herself the circle was some kind of natural phenomenon, geothermal activity maybe, or some quirk of the permafrost. 11:47 p.m., Ash goes rigid. He's staring at the back door. Lena follows his gaze. The glass is fogged, not from inside, but from something breathing on it from outside. And through the condensation, she sees them. The figures, small shapes, warped and thin, their bodies stretched in ways that don't match any anatomy she knows. They stand in the yard, 3 of them, maybe 4, motionless, watching the cabin. Their faces are beautiful, wrong, but beautiful, cheekbones too sharp, eyes too large, reflecting a soft golden light that doesn't exist anywhere in the yard. Mouths curved into smiles that show too many teeth, too small and too even. One of them steps forward, closer, closer. It presses its palm against the glass. Lena watches, frozen, as its fingers bend backward, each joint folding the wrong direction, the hand inverting like a flower blooming in reverse. The creature tilts its head and smiles wider. The aftermath. Lena doesn't scream. She can't. Her voice is a broken thing, unused and unreliable. She grabs Ash's collar and backs into the bedroom, slamming the door, wedging a chair beneath the handle. She calls the police. By the time they arrive, the yard is empty. The snow is untouched. No footprints. No sign anyone was ever there. But the officer who walks the perimeter finds something. The circle behind the cabin, the one with the bones and the burned antlers, it's grown. 10 feet wider than it was that afternoon. The bones have shifted, rearranged, like something inside is waking up. Lena moves out within a week. She takes a job in Fairbanks, daylight work, no forests, no isolation. But at night, when she sleeps, she hears them, bells ringing in the darkness. She's been deaf her entire life. She shouldn't be able to hear anything. Act 2. The sisters who followed the glow. Maro Pike is 16 years old, and she's spent her entire life learning how to be invisible. In a town as small as Homer, where everyone knows everyone and gossip travels faster than weather, invisibility is a survival skill. Maro learned early that the best way to avoid trouble is to fade into the background, to keep her head down, to never ask questions that might have dangerous answers. Her younger sister Elise is the opposite, 12 years old and fearless in the way only children who haven't been hurt yet can be. Elise asks questions constantly. Elise wanders too far. Elise believes every story their grandmother tells about the old country, about the things that live in the forests, about the lights that glow in the dark. Their grandmother died 3 years ago. Maro misses her every day. The message, December 14th. The sun sets at 3:47 p.m. in Homer, and by 4:30, the world is dark, the stars bright and cold, the snow glowing faintly under the moon. Elise's phone buzzes, a text from Aunt Clara. Girls, I need you to meet me at the old Willow Creek trailhead. Come quickly, before the lights go out. Maro frowns. Aunt Clara lives in Anchorage. She hasn't visited in months. And the Willow Creek trailhead has been abandoned for years, closed after a hiker went missing and never came back. Are you sure this is from Aunt Clara? She asks. Elise shows her the screen, the contact photo, the number, everything matches. She sounds scared. What if she's in trouble? Maro wants to say no, wants to call their mother, wants to stay inside where it's warm and safe. But Elise is already pulling on her boots. The trailhead. The drive takes 20 minutes. The road narrows as they leave town. the streetlights disappearing, the forest pressing close on both sides. Marrow's headlights cut through the darkness, catching snowflakes drifting down from a clear sky. The Willow Creek trailhead is exactly as she remembers. A gravel parking lot, a rusted information board, a chain stretched across the trail entrance with a faded sign, closed until further notice. No other cars, no Aunt Clara, but something else. The lanterns. They hang from the tree branches like ornaments, dozens of them, glass jars, paper shades, metal cages, every shape and size, suspended from the trees on thin wires that shouldn't be able to hold their weight. They burn with a soft gold light, steady and warm, casting dancing shadows across the snow. The light has no source, no flame, no wick, no battery. The lanterns are just glowing. The smell drifts through the car's vents, candle wax and pine smoke and something else, something older, like incense burned in a church that hasn't held a service in 100 years. Marrow, Elise whispers. Look. She's pointing at the center of the clearing. The woman. She stands between the trees, motionless, watching them. She's tall, too tall, and thin in a way that makes Marrow's stomach turn. Her body is wrapped in a cloak made of something dark and matted. Fur, maybe, or feathers. But it's her head that makes Marrow's breath catch. She wears antlers, not a headband, not a costume. The antlers rise from her skull like they grew there, branching and curving, woven with strands of something pale and fine. Human hair. The woman smiles, too slowly. The expression takes too long to form, like her face is learning how to move. We should go, Marrow says. Her voice comes out broken, barely a whisper, but Elise is already opening the door. Elise, no. Her sister steps out of the car and reaches for one of the lanterns. The forest moves. The moment Elise's fingers touch the glass, the world shifts. The trees bend inward. Not from wind. There is no wind. They bend like they're leaning in to look, their branches curving toward the clearing, their trunks groaning with a sound that vibrates in Marrow's chest. The snow lifts from the ground, not falling, rising, floating upward like breath exhaled into the cold, swirling around Elise's ankles, her knees, her waist, and from the darkness between the trees, small shapes emerge. The fair folk. They move too fast to see clearly, darting between the trunks, their laughter high and sharp like breaking glass, whispering in voices that overlap and echo, speaking words Marrow doesn't recognize, and then names. Her name, Elise's name. Names they never said out loud, chanted, sung, passed between the small shapes like a game. Marrow, Elise, Marrow, Elise, Marrow. Marrow screams, Elise, get in the car. Elise turns, and her face is blank, empty, like she's hearing music Marrow can't hear, seeing something beautiful Marrow can't see. The woman with the antlers takes a step forward. Marrow doesn't think. She throws the car into drive, slams her foot on the gas, and the vehicle lurches forward. The door hangs open, snow and debris spray behind them. Elise! Her sister blinks. The spell breaks. Elise dives through the open door, tumbling into the back seat as Marrow floors it down the road. The trees blur past. The lanterns fade into the darkness behind them. They don't stop until they reach town. That night, Marrow locks every door, every window. She checks on Elise every 10 minutes. At 2:33 a.m., she hears a knock. Soft, patient, coming from Elise's window. Marrow creeps down the hall. The door is ajar. Elise is sitting up in bed, staring at the glass, her face lit by something Marrow can't see. She steps into the room and freezes. In the window's reflection, she sees them. Tiny hands, pressing against the glass from outside. But that's not what terrifies her. In the reflection, the hands are reaching through, not through the glass, but through Elise's shadow, gripping it, pulling it, stretching it thin across the floor like taffy. Marrow screams. She tackles Elise away from the window. The hands vanish. The shadow snaps back. Elise starts crying. She doesn't remember anything. The tag. 3 days later, their mother finds something sewn into the lining of Elise's coat. An AirTag. Standard tracking device. The kind you'd use to find your keys. But when they check the registration, there's no account, no owner, no record it was ever purchased. And on the surface, pressed into the plastic like a fingerprint, a symbol. The same symbol Marrow saw burned into the antlers in the clearing. The police dust it for prints, nothing human. Act 3. The road that eats names. Caleb Rourke drives alone. He has for 15 years, ever since his divorce, ever since his daughter stopped returning his calls, ever since the only thing that felt real was the road under his wheels and the hum of the engine in his chest. He hauls freight up and down the Alaskan coast, Fairbanks to Juneau, Anchorage to Kodiak. The routes no one else wants, the ones that take you through places where the cell signal dies and the radio crackles with static, and the only company is the darkness pressing against your windows. January 8th, 2020. Caleb's running a load of equipment down the coastal highway outside Juneau when the storm hits. Not a normal storm. This one comes down like a wall. Snow so thick and sudden it's like someone pulled a curtain across the world. Visibility drops to nothing. The road vanishes under a white blur. Caleb pulls over, kills the engine, waits. The radio crackles. The voices. At first it's just static, hissing, popping, the usual white noise of a storm interfering with the signal. Then words start forming, fragments, broken syllables, voices speaking over each other, too many to count, too garbled to understand. Caleb reaches for the dial. This is Rourke. Anyone copy? I'm stalled out on 17, maybe 10 miles past the Eagle Creek turnoff. Anyone out there? The static sharpens, and something answers. Rourke. His name, spoken slowly, stretched out like taffy. Rourke, Caleb, Rourke. The voice isn't human. It's layered. Multiple throats speaking in unison, the tones clashing and harmonizing in ways that make Caleb's teeth ache. We know your name, Caleb. We've been saying it for a long time. He switches the radio off. The voice keeps speaking. Names are heavy. Names are old. Names are the first thing we take. Caleb rips the radio from the dash. Silence. For 5 seconds. Then, knock, knock, knock. The child. It stands beside his driver's side door. Small. Maybe 4 feet tall. Wearing a coat that looks stitched together from fur and feathers. The pelts of a dozen different animals sewn into one garment. The seams don't match. The textures clash. Its face is wrong. Not deformed. Blurred. Like a photograph taken with too long an exposure. The features shift and smear, never settling, never resolving into anything recognizable. It holds a sign, wooden, hand-carved. The symbols on its surface glow a faint, cold blue, the same color as glacier ice, the same color as the heart of a flame. The thing mouths words. No sound comes out, just the movement of lips that don't quite sync with each other, speaking a language Caleb doesn't know and doesn't want to know. Go away, Caleb whispers. His voice sounds small in the cab, fragile. Please, go away. The thing tilts its head and smiles. The footprints. The snow around the truck begins to melt, not from heat, from presence. The white pulls back like a receding tide, revealing the asphalt beneath, the gravel shoulder, the frozen mud, and footprints, dozens of them, circling his truck in perfect concentric rings, tiny feet, bare toes, the impressions impossibly clear, impossibly detailed, too many, too small, too careful. They've been circling him for hours, maybe days. He never heard a thing. The child watches him study the prints. Its smile widens, stretching its blurred face, distorting it, pulling the features apart like melting wax. Then it turns and walks into the storm. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't fade. It just stops being visible, as if it stepped through a door Caleb can't see. Morning. The storm clears by 6 a.m. The road is passable. The truck is intact. Caleb drives the remaining 40 miles to Juneau without stopping, his hands locked on the wheel, his eyes fixed straight ahead. He doesn't look in the mirrors. He doesn't check the back of the cab. He just drives. When he finally stops at a diner outside the city, he climbs out of the cab and stretches his legs. The sun is up. The world is bright and normal and safe. And then he sees it. Behind the truck, in the ice, his name, scratched into the frozen road. Over and over and over, hundreds of times, maybe thousands, the letters overlapping and tangling until they become abstract patterns. Caleb, 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 Caleb. The scratches run down the highway for as far as he can see, and then they stop at the tree line, where the forest swallows the road, where something is watching. The aftermath. Caleb finishes the delivery. He drives home. He doesn't tell anyone what happened, but something has changed. When people say his name, his wife, his boss, the woman at the gas station, he doesn't respond. Not at first. There's a delay, a gap, like the word doesn't register anymore, like it's not really his. His wife asks him if he's okay. He doesn't know how to answer, because the name she's calling isn't his anymore. Something took it, something on the road. And now, when he's alone, when the night is quiet, he hears it, whispered, sung, chanted, Caleb, 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 coming from somewhere he can't see, calling him home. Act 4, What the Elders Know. 3 people, 3 encounters, 3 survivors. They don't know each other. They've never spoken. They live in different towns, different lives, different versions of the same state. But they share something now. A hollow space where certainty used to be. Lena Markov hears bells in her dreams, ringing in the darkness, calling from a distance she can't measure. She's been deaf since birth. She shouldn't hear anything, but the bells are clear and growing closer. Marrow Pike checks on her sister every night, every hour. She watches Elise's shadow, makes sure it's where it should be, makes sure nothing is tugging at it, stretching it, pulling it toward the window. The AirTag is locked in a safety deposit box. She doesn't know why she kept it. Caleb Rourke sold his truck, quit the roads, works at a warehouse now, forklift driver, daylight only. He doesn't answer when people call his name. He waits until they say it twice, just to make sure it's really them speaking. The old knowledge. The elders in coastal Alaska don't talk about the candle roads with outsiders. But among themselves, at kitchen tables, in fishing boats, at the edges of bonfires that burn low and quiet, they pass the truth from generation to generation. Alaska's witches don't curse out of malice. They trade. They make bargains with things older than the forests, older than the ice. They offer warmth for power, names for knowledge, pieces of the living for things the living can't understand. And the fair folk, the creatures that drift between the trees, the small shapes that glow with borrowed light, the things that wear beauty like a mask, they collect. They don't hate humans. They don't love them either. They simply take what they want. Warmth, names, shadows. The pieces of you that wander too close to the old roads. The warning. When the snow glows softly at night, do not follow it. When the lanterns burn in the trees, do not reach for them. When something knocks at your door, wearing a face you almost recognize, do not answer, because the forest is listening. It hears every name spoken beneath its branches, and it remembers everyone who ever walked too far in. Lena Markov wakes at 3 a.m. The bells are louder tonight. She can hear them clearly, ringing in the darkness, calling from somewhere close. Closer than before, closer than her dreams should allow. Ash is growling, not at the door, not at the window, at the hallway. Lena sits up. The apartment in Fairbanks is small, safe, ordinary. No forests, no circles in the snow. No figures with backward bending fingers, but the hallway is glowing, soft, gold, warm, like candlelight, like lanterns. She reaches for her phone to call 911. The screen is already lit, a text message, unknown number. We remember your name, Lena. She drops the phone. Ash barks, once, sharp, and then goes silent. The glow in the hallway intensifies, and through the light, small shapes begin to emerge, warped, thin, beautiful. Their eyes reflect a flame that doesn't exist. Their smiles show too many teeth. One of them steps forward and speaks. Lena hears it, not through her ears, through her bones, through her blood, through the hollow space where silence used to live. You found our circle. You saw our work. You ran, but we marked you anyway. Warmth for warmth, name for name, trade for trade. It's time to finish what we started. The figure holds out its hand. Its fingers bend backward, waiting. And behind it, through the window, Lena sees the city lights flicker and die, block by block, street by street, replaced by something else, something older. Candle roads, glowing faintly in the darkness, spreading through Fairbanks like veins, coming for everyone who ever heard the bells.